I'm gonna work in the accounting department starting today. My name's Anai. There's all kinds.
If you've watched season 2 of Agretzko, then that means you've met the office's newest nuisance, Anai, a character that we would quickly find ourselves despising more than the repulsive tone, which I didn't even know was possible. But sure enough, the high-strung badger, a very appropriate animal designation, kicked into a high gear of douchebaggery after only one day on the job. So Anai repeatedly spazzes out when learning how to answer the phone from Retzko, and she tries to kindly help him see his errors. But from this moment on, Anai walks around with a hair-triggered temper, not only with Retzko, but with almost all of his co-workers. He sends intimidating emails whenever he feels slighted, and even goes so far as to record conversations with his co-workers when he feels he's being bullied, but refuses to speak to anyone face-to-face like an adult. So what is Anai's deal? Well, at first I thought he was just an entitled little shit, but the more that I think about the things I've learned from Japanese work culture and about Japanese work culture, now going on a year and a half working here myself, I began to really feel sorry for Anai. He's not an inconsiderate asshole by any means. He's just a scared little kid thrust into a world that he is not at all prepared for. And it's likely the process of getting a job that created the monster we believe Anai to be before he even started. Now, what do I mean, and how does Japan's work culture play into it? Well, let's start with the salaryman track. Now, in the West, when we think of what the Japanese call a salaryman, we picture a nameless, faceless, ineffectual nobody, someone who is quite the opposite of extraordinary, who blends in with the crowd and is just another cog in an overbearing robot machine. And that sounds depressing to us. Well, in Japan, being a salaryman is a goal. It is what the majority of Japanese men, not all, but the majority of them, set out to become. And this track to the salaryman life starts very early. Actually, it begins around middle school age. So in an effort to gain an edge on the competition, a lot of kids in middle school will go to cram schools, which is exactly what it sounds like. On top of regular long school days, kids will go to a cram school well into the night to go deeper into their studies or attempt to learn a new language. They have zero time to themselves and often not even enough to rest or sleep. I used to walk past the cram school on my way home to my old apartment, and it was just a heartbreaking thing to see when I looked inside. So the point of cram schools is to pass the rigorous exams to get into a good high school and later into a top Japanese university. But even after you've cleared these hurdles comes the dreaded shukatsu. This is the process of job hunting for potential new hires looking to enter the workforce fresh out of college. So during their last year of university, kids will apply to dozens of jobs hoping to land a full-time position. My wife actually applied to over 30 companies at a time when the Japanese economy was at a very low point and it was very stressful for her. So these hopefuls will run across the city in their black suits, going to interview after interview, handing out resumes, some of which might actually be handwritten just for that extra personal touch. But here's the thing. You can jump through all of those hoops from the age of 12, you can go to a quality high school, you can make it to a top university, and still come up empty-handed. The period of shukatsu can be the most stressful, high-pressure, and traumatic period in a person's life in Japan. In 2018, 150 people committed suicide because they failed shukatsu. They failed at landing a job. All of that work they believed to be for nothing. All of their youth and childhood that they missed yielded no results, so they ended it. Even worse, some kids don't even make it to shikatsu, as suicide is now the leading cause of death for kids between the ages of 10 and 14. The pressure here is not to be taken lightly. Now look at Anai again. He made it. He succeeded at shikatsu. Fresh out of college, he's now in the accounting department of a company that he'll be working for as long as he wants, honestly, because getting fired in Japan is almost unheard of. He's set. So why is he freaking out? Well, given the rigorous process of shikatsu that's so stressful to the point that it claims people's lives, I think Anai has a bit of PTSD. All those years of cramming, all those years of studying, bending to social pressures and trying to fit in, it's not surprising that a couple screws would come loose. But then we get to see Anai in his happy place when he's cooking. There's a true joy there. So why not pursue a career as a chef? Or why not start his own small cafe or restaurant? Well, the entrepreneurial spirit is kind of a slug on the salaryman track. It's just kind of in the way. And the security of Japan's lifetime employment system sways those would-be risk takers. So maybe Anai holds some resentment there. Who knows? I'm not trying to justify his behavior or actions, just offer a little insight and understanding, as I've not only witnessed but also encountered some real-life Anais in my own time working in Japan. But for now, he seems pretty content selling bentos to his co-workers. Now I want to know what you think of Anai. Do you see him in a different light, or do you still think he's an entitled brat? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to know how realistic Aggretsuko depicts life in Japan as an office lady, click on the video in the top right. Or if you just want to see her rage out, click the bottom right video. I'll be back soon, but until then, sayonara suckers.